In the 1960s, Britain made a momentous decision. It decided to withdraw its military forces from bases east of the Suez Canal. This marked the end of centuries of British military presence in the region. The withdrawal was completed in 1971. It signified Britain's acceptance of its diminished role on the world stage. The once mighty British Empire was shrinking. Britain could no longer afford to maintain its global presence. The Suez Crisis of 1956 had exposed the limits of British power. It needed the support of its allies, particularly the United States. The withdrawal from east of Suez was a recognition of this new reality. The world had changed dramatically after the Second World War. The rise of new superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, diminished Britain's global influence. Maintaining far-flung bases became strategically difficult. Britain's strategic priorities shifted towards Europe. The Cold War demanded a strong presence in Europe to counter the Soviet threat. Resources allocated to bases east of Suez were increasingly seen as a distraction. Technological advancements also played a role. The development of long-range aircraft and missiles reduced the need for a vast network of overseas bases. Britain could project power from its own shores and from Allied territories. The withdrawal from east of Suez reflected a pragmatic assessment of Britain's capabilities. It was a recognition that Britain could no longer police the world. It needed to focus its resources on areas of vital national interest. The decision to withdraw from east of Suez was also driven by political factors. There was growing pressure at home to reduce military spending. The British public was weary of war and wanted to focus on rebuilding the country after the devastation of World War II. The Labour Party, which came to power in 1964, was committed to social welfare programmes. It argued that the cost of maintaining a global military presence was unsustainable. They preferred to invest in healthcare, education and housing. The withdrawal was also influenced by the changing political landscape in the regions affected. The rise of nationalism and anti-colonial sentiment made it increasingly difficult for Britain to maintain its presence. The granting of independence to former colonies like India and Malaysia further reduced the strategic importance of bases east of Suez. Britain's role was evolving from an imperial power to a partner in a commonwealth of nations. Section 4. The cost of empire economic realities bite hard. The economic realities of the post-war world also played a crucial role in Britain's decision. The costs of maintaining a large military presence east of Suez were becoming prohibitive. Britain's economy was struggling to recover from the war. The pound sterling, once the world's reserve currency, was under pressure. Maintaining bases and forces overseas drained valuable foreign exchange reserves. The government was forced to devalue the pound in 1967, further highlighting the economic strain. The withdrawal from east of Suez was seen as a way to reduce government spending and help restore the British economy. By reducing its commitments, Britain could free up resources for domestic investment. The decision reflected a broader shift in global economic power. The United States had emerged from the war as the world's dominant economic powerhouse. Britain could no longer compete with American economic might. A new dawn reshaping Britain's place in the world. The withdrawal from east of Suez was a defining moment in British history. It marked the end of Britain's global ambitions. It forced Britain to redefine its role in the world, strengthening ties with the US and Europe, paving the way for entry into the European Economic Community in 1973. It contributed to instability in the Middle East and Southeast Asia, marking the end of an era for Britain.